guys.
A shit show, a pure shit show. It literally takes a village.
I don't know if it was dirty or clean.
Oh my God.
Bad mom.
Like
Gone
that
wild. Yes.
Because I'm shining.
Woo! That was good, guys. Cheers.
Okay, welcome, Sierra. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're so excited to have you here with us today. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about your story? Go ahead.
No. Okay, so I own my own business, Holistically Attuned, and so my background has been in nursing for the last 14 years. 12 years into nursing, I really got into a holistic approach to life. So incorporating a lot of Eastern medicine with Western medicine, a lot of the philosophies and combining them. And so that's when I really started on my journey working with crystals and energy workings, massage, Reiki, all that good stuff. And so just within the I started my business 2 years ago. And within the last year, I actually dove into it full time. So I quit my job with Kaiser to do this full time. And I love every minute of it.
Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Yes, go
Thank
girl.
And to leave Kaiser, that's
right?
that's
I know.
a big deal.
So I feel like in leaving Kaiser, because Kaiser with nursing was my dream job for years. And so I feel like I had to, the universe wanted me to have that job so that I could have no regrets when it came time for me to really branch out on my own. And so I experienced it and I loved every minute of Kaiser. It was a wonderful place. But the pull to really start a business that I had really cultivated and began working on 12 years ago, it was just really strong. And so here we are.
I love your mindset. I love that mindset that no regrets. This is what the universe wanted me to do for a reason.
Do it.
Absolutely.
I like
Absolutely.
We don't hear very many people say they leave a nursing position.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like very brave and very respectable.
Well, I think that because I still incorporate it. So it's really a play on words when I say holistic, because I'm currently finishing up my Ayurvedic program. So that right there, it combines a lot of the herbalism and things. So I'm still using my medical background with the nursing and incorporating it with everything.
Yeah.
Sierra, would you be able to explain or tell our listeners why it's called a yoni? Your vagina is called a yoni.
So yoni is actually a Sanskrit term. Sanskrit is a ancient Indian language. So when you're talking about chakras and things like that, that's all encompassed in the language of Sanskrit. So yoni is a Sanskrit word, and it encompasses your vaginal canal, your ovaries, your womb, everything about your female reproductive system. They incorporate that in one word, yoni. So that's where that comes from. It really, in my opinion, is a polite way because it's delicate, it's exotic, and so we latch on to it, and it's cool to say. But that's what that word means. It's just another word for vagina.
So how was your yoni before you came in tune with her?
We're jumping
jumping right into the yoni discussion.
Girl, my yoni was a loosey-goosey. I think that before really getting in touch with your yoni and your spirituality, it's just another body part, really. It is what society has made it to be, something that you don't really embrace the way that you should. You don't take care of it the way that you should. You don't know yourself the way that you should. And so my yoni, prior to all of this, was just there. It was a part of my anatomy.
And you have 5 kids, so you got pretty, connected with your yoni. Did you get connected with your yoni before you had kids or after?
After.
Okay.
after. So when I say connect with my yoni, I mean me, myself personally, knowing it in and out after the kids.
Okay. And for our listeners, can you tell them how old your kids are so we know?
Yes. So I have 14, 13, 12, 5, and 4.
5.
Were they all vaginal births?
No, my last one wanted to be difficult and ended up being an emergency C-section. Everybody else.
That's pretty good. 4 out of 5?
Yeah. And then the last one, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because you're talking about 3 C-sections over here. So that's a blessing.
And I commend you because I could never.
You know what? I know people who have actually opted to have C-sections because they're afraid to push it out of their vagina.
Yeah, I think I would be one of those now. I think would be a little scared for sure.
Okay.
And what did you start doing differently to become so in tune with your yoni?
Okay, so this is where it gets good.
This is where the good stuff.
Yeah, that's where it gets good. So to really know your yoni, I feel like you have to build a relationship with yourself. You have to bond with yourself. You have to build a level of trust. Self-exploration, that's when you're getting in touch. Masturbation, that is you really doing a one-on-one self-love meditation with yourself. So using the yoni egg, de-armoring with the yoni wand, yoni massages. These are all amazing ways to really get in touch with your yoni. And they're all things that I partake in.
What is a yoni massage? Is that like with some type of, all right, tell me, go ahead.
Right.
So a yoni massage is, and this can be something that you do on your own. This can be something that you do with your partner. This is actually something you can pay to have done. So you use your yoni oil, or you can use a coconut-based oil because that one is very good. It balances pH and things like that. And you look at me in my diagram for your viewers.
Oh, yes.
First of all, everybody needs to learn their anatomy, okay? So with your yoni massage, you're going to start on the outside. And this should be something that you do when you have time, when you're not rushed, when you're not worried somebody's going to bust in on you. It should be a ritual, very ritualistic. So take your bath, relax, come out the bath, light a candle, really just be relaxed. Take your yoni oil and start on the outside, and you're kind of just rubbing. Now, rubbing on the outside really helps to increase the circulation. And we all know with better blood flow comes better orgasms. And so you start there. Once you feel comfortable, you can move to the inner portion, the inner labius, and start massaging there. And you can just do small circles. After that, when you're comfortable, this all doesn't have to be done at the same time. You start to explore on the vaginal canal. So you're going to come in and you're just going to do small circles around. And that's basically how the yoni massage starts.
Oh.
And they have people you can pay to do this for you?
Absolutely.
And that's legal?
Seriously, like, where is this?
It is very legal. Mostly you see it, I'm not going to lie, in other countries. India is really good about that. Bali, they do it. So it's experiences. But when you think about other countries, especially those on the the eastern side of the world, this is a part of their culture. This is their healing. This is how they take care of themselves. Really, in America, we shame the vagina. Everybody else doesn't. So.
And when you mention masturbation, do you recommend it with a wand, or you with hands, all natural? What do you recommend?
So I think that
depends on the person.
Asking for a friend, a
I
listener.
think that it's preference, right?
Asking for a mom.
So I think that it comes down to preference. So I have used all of the above, right? And I can show you some of the crystal wands actually.
Because
So
believe it or not, I've never had a wand or a dildo
A
or anything.
a vibrator.
Yeah, no, I've
do you
never.
masturbate? Can I ask you that?
With my husband to like turn him on a little, but I don't by myself. No.
What?
Okay.
Have you told us that before in our
No,
sec-
this is
Oh.
an
I
exclusive.
was like, how do I never know that?
An exclusive.
I know I'm getting real personal, huh?
Yeah, okay, not.
I'm like, do you do it too? No. You know what? It's all about your preference. And when you're first starting out, you may want to start with your hands because the goal of masturbation, in the sense that I'm talking about, is to get to learn your body. It is to get to learn your areas, what turns you on, what does not turn you on, what you like, what you don't like. Orgasms heal, right? Orgasms provide a sense of freedom and empowerment. And so, even though that is not your goal in the sense of this form of masturbation, it does enhance your ability to orgasm. It is a nurturing experience for yourself. And then these are things that you take to your husband. You say, okay, nope, not like that. Come here. And then when you're using crystal, when you're using the crystal wand, a lot of that comes down to healing traumas and releasing pent up energy. So that's the difference between using a crystal wand and like a dildo. There is a difference there.
So aside from like massages and masturbation, how do you care for your yoni?
So I do regular yoni steams. And
what is regular? How often is regular?
Well, break it down. What is the yoni steam first? Because I feel like that was new to me. Roni had mentioned it, and I was like, what the what? You steam
yes.
You cook it? You can cook it?
Yeah.
So what it comes down to is it's you nurturing your yoni, and you're putting in certain herbs that have certain healing mechanisms. And so depending on the blend that you get, because they have just they have them for certain things, maybe for menopausal women or to provide extra lubrication, whatever the case may be. When you choose your blend, if you're doing it at home, you take that, you put it in some hot water in a pot, you let it steep for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you don't have a yoni seat, you kind of kneel over it. You should be there for at least 8 to 10 minutes, no more than 30. And so what that does is it allows the natural oils from the herbs to seep into the vagina. And, they absorb it and they kind of come into your system.
I know, okay, we'll talk about this later, but we did, as a group, went and did the yoni steam. But we had a few listeners mention, like, how isn't that bad for you? Like douching? Is it?
Yeah, they compared it to douching.
Yeah.
Definitely not the same. So with douching, the thing about douching is you're pushing water up and it's clearing out a lot of flora and also introducing bacteria into the vaginal canal. What you're doing with the yoni steam is you're allowing, because now we're talking about the muscles and the tissues in the vagina, it's very absorbent. So you're allowing that to absorb the natural oils from herbs. There's no chemicals or anything like that in there. And so the skin is the biggest organ, and it has a very, how do I want to say it? The healing mechanisms of it, it's really just about absorbing the benefits of the herbs. That's the difference. A lot of douche systems have chemicals inside of that, and then it cleans out all of your flora. It knocks your pH balance completely off. So they're totally different.
And there's different herbs for different things, right? For the steaming process, like there's
Absolutely.
one for fertility and one for cleansing yeast infections and things like that, correct?
Menstrual
Right.
cramps. Oh.
Menstrual
So
cramps.
can you
Yeah.
elaborate more on like your oils and the eggs and the other products that you use or carry?
So the Yoni oil is really good for the Yoni massage. It also doubles as a lubricant, you know, for your sexual encounters. The Yoni eggs, when you say elaborate, you
Like,
want to know all?
Introduce the
For
Yoni
people
egg,
who have no idea, yeah.
because you had mentioned a Yoni egg, but I that's another thing. I had never heard of a Yoni. I had never even heard of a Yoni, you know, so I had never heard of an egg or anything like that. And I feel like this might be new
It's
to a lot of people too.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
can you explain what a Yoni egg is? And
Yes. So a Yoni egg it's a crystal or a healing stone that has been sanded down into the shape of an egg, and that's symbolism in and of itself. But what it does is you insert it into the vaginal canal, and it helps you to release trauma. It helps with healing on a metaphysical level, but it also helps to tone your vaginal floor muscles, your pelvic floor muscles.
And there's different kinds, right? There's different sizes, different crystals, correct?
Different crystals, different sizes, all of that plays a major factor in the work that you're trying to do. So when choosing your first Yoni egg, my suggestion would be to choose intuitively. That's how I suggest choosing any type of crystal, because your body will naturally tell you what it's drawn to. And one of the biggest things when working with your Yoni egg is learning how to listen to your body, learning how to listen to your intuition.
And how often do you use them?
Whenever I'm not on my period.
so it's
Like every
okay
day?
daily?
For how long?
So I think that there's different schools of thoughts on that. So I'm speaking from an intuitive aspect, from an intuitive perspective. I think that when you're working with your Yoni egg, you have to intuitively know when you're done working with it. So if you were working with it strictly for Kegel exercises, which I believe is a waste, just because you can work with the Benoit balls for that. Why pay so much money for a Yoni egg and miss out on the other healing properties? But just to start, if you were doing it for the Kegel exercises, that would be 1 to 10 minutes a day, anywhere in there. If you were actually using it for the properties, you would insert it and you would leave it alone until intuitively you felt like it was ready to come out. Your body will not lie to you. I've had people customers who have told me, like, you know, I put this one in and my body spit it right out, but then I use this one and it stayed, you know, or this felt uncomfortable and then I tried this one and it was perfect. And it wasn't the size was the same. It's just your body was not ready to work with that energy yet. And it's about listening to your body, tuning into that. Sometimes when working with the Yoni egg, you don't insert it right away. You know, you talk to your body, you talk to your Yoni. You ask yourself, you say, Yoni, you know, are we ready to receive this egg? Is this something that you want to do today? I know it sounds funny, right?
Well, no, because it can look intimidating. You know, like it could be big.
It's legit, like shoving an egg in there.
Yeah. You're like, can I take this right now?
Right.
You know what? And I think it's a misconception too that we have. It's like, oh, if I put that in there, it's not going to fit, or, you know, it's going to stretch me out and I won't go back down to size. And that is completely false. Like, your vagina, it's elastic. It's made to stretch and come back. But there's different sizes, so don't be intimidated. But you literally just talk to it, and then sometimes your body will tell you, no, I don't feel like working with the Yoni today, and so you don't work with it. And then other times it's like, take me, I'm yours, you know.
So for someone who is interested in getting a Yoni and has, like, you know, no experience in this at all, is there one that you recommend them, like, size-wise and crystal-wise? And getting, for a beginner?
So size-wise, first of all, I would never recommend starting with the small. People always want to think small is the way to go, but you have to understand that the small, it's like it's micro. It's where's my camera? I don't know. It's very small. It's less than the size of a quarter.
Oh,
and
that's small.
Looks intimidating for sure.
Yeah, and so I mean, if you are afraid of losing something, that would be the one. I would always, if you've had children, I would recommend a large. If you've never had kids, you can try your luck with the medium, but larges are really not that big, and so they generally fit comfortably. So somewhere between a large and medium. As far as the particular stone, everybody wants to open their third eye and you know, and work with the amethyst or, you know, lapis lazuli, things like that. I would always recommend starting with a gentle stone, and that would be a rose quartz. Black obsidian is good. Yeah, black obsidian is good, but black obsidian is something that you want to work with if your energy is geared more towards transformation or breaking down toxic cycles or behaviors. Carnelian is also a really good stone to work with because that one helps you tap into your sacral chakra, and those are your passions, your creativities, all that good stuff. So I would be in there somewhere.
Okay, so I have go ahead.
Well, I'm asking this because I know Roni has mentioned crystals in a previous episode and how like she charges them. So do you have to charge your Yoni eggs?
Yes.
How?
You should.
Okay.
Listen, do everything in life with intention, okay? Have intent with everything you do. So if you're going to take your crystal and you're going to work with your crystal for all that it has to offer, let's say you're working with the rose quartz, okay? And rose quartz is really good for self-love. It's good for compassion for yourself and for others, for just that type of vibration, bring it in. It's also good for fertility. You can charge that crystal under a full moon. That is a very powerful time, you know, and a lot of that goes into play when you're learning about, now this is going back, learning about your feminine cycles. You know, if you have your menstrual period around the full moon, it's called the red moon cycle. And if you have it around the new moon, it's the white moon cycle. And that has to do with, back in the day, they thought you were more intuitive. So there's a lot of power associated with the moon, long story short. So yeah, you charge it under the moon and you give it an intent. And the moon, the power from the moon, it just enhances the energy, the vibrations that's already in that crystal. Everything is made up of energy. Crystals are no different. They carry certain frequencies and vibrations. And when you do the research on it, you will see that they use crystals for everything. Even if you go and get an x-ray, they're using microcrystals in that to enhance the views. They use crystals in everything. You have to get into it.
So how, okay, this might be a dumb question, but how often do we get a new moon or a full moon to charge it?
There are no
monthly?
dumb questions. Yes.
Monthly or?
It is monthly, and it goes in a 2-week cycle. So every 2 weeks, you're either having a new moon or a full moon. So we have a new moon coming up on the 14th. That's our new moon. We just had a full moon on the 31st.
On Halloween.
And then you just lay them out like on a little blanket or something and just to charge them? Or do you have to have like a specific, like a certain area or?
Don't you put yours in water, Roni? Or you put your crystals?
Yeah, I charged some of them because I'd made moon water. That's what they're talking about. I put crystals in them. Yeah.
Can you give us some moon water? So will they?
And that was a real powerful moon water too.
It is.
So will they stop having that same energy or effect
if you don't
recharge it?
Well, if you don't cleanse it, it will. It will. You'll notice that it won't be as effective. There's a few things when working with the Yoni egg. So you may not be getting the same effect from it because maybe it's time to move on to something else. You know, maybe I've been working with my fears and my anxieties and I'm done working with the black obsidian, and now it's time to move on to a different level in my, development. And now I'm going to start working with something that correlates to my sacral or my solar plexus. So that's another reason why it might not work. As far as charging it, you should charge it to enhance its powers, but be very mindful that the purpose of using a crystal as the yoni egg is because it does absorb that negative energy. It does remove those toxins. So you would want to cleanse this like you would anything else, to remove that. And the best way to do that would be for a moon cycle or in the sun or with sage. It's like a filter. It gets it out of there.
Okay. And then how long? Like an hour that you set it out in the sun or the moon? Or
the moon, just leave it out overnight.
okay. And then the sun, will it damage it if we leave it out all day?
Some crystals will be damaged in the sun. So the sun is not always my preferred method. I would leave it in the sun no more than 4 hours. But if I had to give you my best go, I would say under the moon.
And how are you supposed to wash it other than that, like right after your use?
So the best way to cleanse that would be to get a cup and put some warm water in it. And I use essential oils. I use tea tree. You can use lavender. Lavender is gentle, but you put a few drops in and then you just drop the yoni in and let it just sit there for a little while. Don't drop it in hot scalding water, just warm water. Let it sit there. If you have a drilled yoni, you want to kind of pull the string back and forth and make sure you get in that little hole so nothing stays there. And then after that, you just put it away safely.
And I have a couple more questions about the yoni egg.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is it true that you could put multiple eggs at one, like for professionals, I should say?
So yes, you can use more than one egg at a time. I wouldn't, but I think that's more when you start to get into, I don't know, tantric sex. Like I really feel like it's more in that end.
For like pleasure? Can you
Yes.
have orgasms from a yoni egg?
Yoni eggs strengthen your pelvic floor muscles, which strengthen your orgasms. Yes.
Okay. And can you have sex with a yoni egg on?
Yes.
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 Oh my gosh. That
Well, that's
sounds
new for me.
so
I didn't know that.
painful.
How does
I
that?
didn't know
So again, I think we're talking about the advanced techniques, and I wouldn't
Right.
suggest having a
No.
large yoni egg in, maybe a medium. But if you think about it, what it's supposed to do, now I've never done this, but what it's supposed to do is it helps to rub against your G-spot. So it just creates a little bit of friction during sex.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Oh, and there's even yoni yoga, right? Or yoni egg yoga that you can do yoga with your egg in.
Yes, it's a very sensual practice. Everything is about sensuality when you're working with your yoni. So yes.
That's so cool. Okay, so how has your yoni changed after using these products over time? Was there any more products that you had wanted to touch on before we move on to?
No.
Okay, so after you using all of your products, how has your yoni changed?
I think that when you are working with your yoni, what you're really working with is a level of self-love and self-confidence, because that's what you're that's the energy that you're tapping into. The yoni egg specifically sits inside of your root/sacral chakra. As a woman, most of your power, that's where it resides. That's where your kundalini energy lies, in that sacral chakra. That's your divine feminine energy. And so in working with that and strengthening that, you have this level of empowerment, and it's like, I don't know how else to say it besides feeling like it's like a walking goddess type of energy. You are very confident in everything that you do, in all your moves. That shadow of a doubt that's always back there, our conscious ego that tells us we can't do anything. Working with your yoni, it kind of mutes all that out, because you have unleashed that specific chakra and the energy that encompasses it. So I have to say, in working with these things and being very mindful of myself and my energy, and being able to set boundaries with others and recognizing my passions and being able to go for that. All of that comes from concentrating on that area.
And how soon did you start to feel those changes? Like, is it right away? Is it after a couple weeks?
So I think that depends on how I think that depends on how mindful you are to your body and your energy as it changes. Because if you are using it and you have a specific intent, like some people use their yoni egg when they're manifesting. They use a certain jade yoni egg to help them manifest, and then they'll see results within a few days. If you're using it for, healing, all of a sudden you see a Charmin commercial and you want to cry, really that's a breakthrough. But to you, you may think you're just being hormonal or, being sensitive in the moment. But really that's your body already working towards breaking down certain barriers that you have already implemented. So I think that you start to feel a change immediately, but once you recognize it, depends on how in tune you are.
That makes total sense for breaking it down like that. That's exactly how it works. Exactly.
Okay, Roni. So then you share your experience because you're the one who got us into all this, what are your personal experiences? It's time, girl. It's time.
I didn't see that on the questionnaire. Personal experience with yoni or just in crystals in general, or
with your yoni egg, your yoni steam.
So my experiences with it, I started using them to get more in tune with my body. And I started basically more getting into it over quarantine because I had more time to sit there and think and get in tune with myself. So I started using the steams, the at-home steam, started using the oil. The yoni egg is new for me. I just started that once. Sierra, for our listeners, she sent us some little yoni packets for all of us so we can try before this show. But overall, I just felt like it was something that needed to be done for me to get in tune with my body, and it helped me tremendously. Like, I feel a big difference. My husband feels a big difference. It's like it now has become a part of me because of all the benefits that I've received from it, whether it be tightening up, more natural juices flowing, just all that kind of stuff. It makes you feel more sensual, I guess, if I could put it into words. So that's kind of been my experience with it. I would recommend it to women, especially if you feel like over this quarantine, I feel like a lot of us have like got lost or not astray, but I feel like this is something that you can do for yourself to put you back on like a positive path. And it may sound crazy because it's like, it's your yoni. Well, how are you getting all this just from that? But the energy that it brings to you is something real, like especially if you're ready for it, because I feel like you have to be open-minded and be ready for it, because you can just get the egg and be like, oh, this didn't do anything for me. But that, I feel like that's because you didn't get in tune and allow your body to be open up enough to receive it. So like Sierra mentioned, like you can do all this stuff, but if you're not ready to receive it, it won't be a benefit to you unless you're open for that.
And we will link her personal steam or her at-home steam. What is it? Steam? What is it called? A throne, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll link that in the show notes, guys. What about you, Marianne? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Roni.
No, and I was going to say also too is another thing that I really enjoy is the herbal baths. They are like next level. I recommend that every mother try a herbal bath. You have to try it.
Wait, okay, so you have to buy like an herbal packet, or you throw in some tea bags, or what is an herbal bath?
And I think Sierra probably could. Can you touch on that just to break it down correctly? Because I probably will murder it.
Yes. So an herbal bath, it really is what it sounds like. You're taking specific herbs with specific intent. So if I wanted something to help me relax, I would throw in a certain amount of different type of herbs. I would mix it with bath salts. And then you draw your bath water, you let it seep in the bath water for about 10 minutes, and then you get in. But again, it is using a very natural form of healing your body, of healing your emotions. It taps into that type of energy, and you just use a few scoops in the bathtub and you soak in it, and it's like magic.
It is. You come out feeling like a new person. You
And
do.
how do you get
Renewed.
your formulas for, what
A blend.
goals? Yeah, what blends to use?
How do I get my blends?
Yeah, are they
Uh,
online? Is there like a formula online? Like if you're stressed or if you're,
oh
wanting it for
yeah, there's
fertility or things like that, how do you know which
yeah.
herbs to
Which
get?
herbs to use, I guess.
So there's a lot of information online. I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you guys, but I am a herb junkie, and then also so I've been doing it for 12 years. So I kind of know. If I was at home, you would see a bookshelf up to the wall filled with all kinds of books. And then because of the Ayurveda too, they touch on a lot. That's working with herbs. It's healing with herbs. It is instead of going to a doctor's office, you can go to the Ayurvedic practitioner and they would treat you with herbs in a natural substance.
Mhm.
So that's how, it's just working with them from over time. But you can absolutely get a lot of recipes online. It's the same thing with essential oils. There's a lot of information available.
Okay. And Marianne, so so we all got an egg, like Roni said. Sierra was so sweet to send us our own little box with
Thank
a
you, by the
Yoni,
way.
You're
yes,
welcome.
with a Yoni oil and a Yoni egg to try out. So that was new for us. And
The
what
oil
was
is
your
amazing.
experience, Marianne?
So I've never really been into crystals. I mean, I've never really known anything about crystals other than like birthstones and whatnot. But so my experience, I think I was very hesitant at first. I wasn't like, I mean, I was open to the idea, but I don't know if I fully was because I don't know, like I was uncomfortable talking to it, even though I attempted to talk to it and before I inserted it.
To the egg?
Yeah, to
Okay,
the
okay.
egg.
I
And,
wasn't sure if you meant your vagina or your egg, so.
oh, I guess I could have talked to him. No, my intentions were to talk to the egg. And
Okay.
I was very uncomfortable doing it, but I did it. I know I wanted to have an open mind and reap the benefits of it, right? So I put it in and you can totally feel there's an egg there. This is just my experience. And I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, and I think all the doubts and insecurities started like jumbling my brain, and I was like, I don't think this is comfortable, or and I started talking to the girls and I'm like, dude, am I not putting it in all the way, or do you guys feel yours, right? So, and how long are you guys leaving yours in? So then, I took it out and had attempted again because they're like, you shouldn't feel it, right? So I shoved it in higher next time and I didn't feel it. And I kept it in longer because I didn't feel it. And I was like just going about my day and almost forgot about it at one point. And I feel like naturally I had to do Kegels to make sure it was there. And then I feel like the few other times after that, I had sensations that it was like falling out. And I remember like talking to my 5-year-old and he had said something funny and I laughed and it legit came out. So I don't know. I mean, like, oh my God, it's in my underwear. And I like had my hand there and ran to the bathroom and like kids like, what?
I made her laugh that hard.
So I don't know. Like, is it? Okay.
Listen, let me tell you something. This is when I was still at work at Kaiser. I was at work in Irvine, and I was working in a nursing office where it was one-on-one. So the patient would come in, and I would do what I do with them, and then they would go. I was literally there with a patient when I don't know if I stepped to the left too quickly. I don't know, but the damn egg rolled out, and I was like,
Oh my God.
You're like, can I get my egg back?
what?
It rolled out of the scrubs right on.
It rolled. Luckily for me, the angels were watching because it like got caught in my shoe, and it was like my shoes were nursing shoes that would slip in, and so the angels had my back that day.
Oh my God, how
But
funny.
I think that's just needing to tighten. You know, you gain control over your muscles. And sometimes when we're relaxed and we're loose and we're forgetting about things, nobody stays just contracted at any time. That's not natural, you know. So yeah, those kind of. I had a retreat too, and we were doing I was teaching them some of the Yoni exercises, and one of the participants, her Yoni kind of rolled right out. So it is common when you're starting and when you're learning how to control the muscles with it. So
Okay, I don't feel so bad because I asked the girls and they're like, no, that's never happened to me.
Well, we made fun of her because we're like, it's because you just had a baby. So
Like, you're definitely loosey-goosey.
a wide set vagina.
And they're like, you need a bigger egg. And I'm like, I think this is a large.
You got the extra large.
yeah, they get pretty big.
But so honestly, after like all that, like I can tell that my libido had increased. Like I wanted to have more sex with my husband. When we had sex, he said it felt tighter. And I think too, the Kegel part kind of played, I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm assuming. And then we did the Yoni steam and I felt more lubricated. My husband felt the lubrication was increased and he said it was amazing and it was softer and yeah, so it's definitely like a recommendation.
Benefits.
Yeah, it definitely has its benefits. And after we did the steam, I did have that little like confident feeling, like, you know, like the lioness came out.
So when I got the egg, it took me a while because I was intimidated. It was huge. And, you know, I just didn't know how am I going to put it in because it's round and then it's like pointed at the other side. But when Marianne did it and hers fell out, I'm like, okay, I have to try it. So we're all on the phone together, texting each other. So I put mine in and it was so interesting because I felt like my vagina just sucked it up. It was the weirdest, like gravity just pulled it up me. And I've never felt that before. Yeah, especially like, you know, tampons, you put a tampon in and you're just shoving it up and, you know, and like it's taking a while. I don't know. But this thing just went right up. And I must have pushed it up high enough because I didn't feel it at all. Like I didn't feel the weight of it or the egg itself, but I'm telling you, the energy, which I didn't even expect to feel any type of energy. I had the black obsidian and I just felt like emotionally charged. Like it is the most
she said
interesting
that
feeling.
I feel something, guys.
I feel it in my chest. I feel like just in my shoulders. I'm like, am I panicking because I have this like foreign object inside my body, or is this the energy from the actual crystal? So then with it inside me, I started doing all kinds of research on YouTube, like what is the black obsidian stone and what am I, you know, and so everything was like on key. It was like it's releasing your negative energy, and I'm like, oh my God, I must have a lot of negative energy because I really felt a lot of it. And for the whole time that I had it in, and I was able to keep it in for an hour the first time that I wore it. And then it's funny because with my research there, I was researching about like, you could have sex with it on and double up. And I'm like, I'm good with the one right now. But it said you get empowered if you hatch it. Right. So instead of pulling it by the string, if you sit over like the toilet and, you know, you actually push it out. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. And I pushed and it just like And it was really empowering. I'm like, I pushed this thing out. Like, fuck that string.
See, and I was telling Roni too, I was like, I really want to give somebody one that does not have a string on it, because I want you guys to try the undrilled too, and you would have been perfect.
I was scared, but yeah, no, I was really excited that I hatched it, and then ever since then, I'm like, I'm hatching this little lady out. But then after that, there's been times where I've worn it and it's come out right away. You know, like, so the first time I was able to wear it for an hour, and then the second time, I don't know if I didn't push it in all high enough or what, but it just tumbled out. And then I'm like, that's what I get for making fun of Marianne.
No, or maybe it was time, like maybe since you had that energy and you felt that way the first time, maybe it's your egg telling you need to move on because it did
Or
its
you need
purpose.
to recharge it.
Yeah.
I think
know.
it did its purpose. I don't
Yeah.
see you with obsidian for very long.
Wow.
Really? That's interesting. That is so cool. Yeah, but then I felt tighter during, intercourse. And I felt like, yeah, it's interesting, and it is empowering. And then, yeah, the whole steam experience, sitting on that throne and having just the heat, and you have to spread eagle, man. Like, they had us lift the butt cheeks, and everything, and just get all in the nooks and crannies. And it just felt so amazing. And I know this is probably going to be gross, but like, you just feel like everything just getting steamed, and there's like sweat, and it just, everything is just like kind of not exfoliating, but what is it when they're purifying it, and then afterwards. But then I ruined it, because right after, when we were cleaning ourselves, the lady was like, oh, you can use some of these like a feminine cleanser, right? And I just grabbed the wipey that they had, thinking that was the feminine cleanser, and it was just a regular Kirkland wipey. And I just wiped myself, and it started burning. And I think that the chemicals from that with the oils, oh my God, I had like a reaction. I was like, don't use them. My crotch was
We were like,
fire.
she told you what to use in there.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. But other than that, I would definitely do it again. If it definitely, and it makes you feel like sexy, like you're ready, like yeah, everything's steamed, I'm good. Let's go.
And you know what? If you take it one step further and do them at home, and just have that, like, Sundays are set aside for my self-love days, right? And so I wake up before everybody else, and I will do my Yoni steam. And during that time, during my Yoni steam, I will journal, or maybe I'll just have music on. I get lost in the moment. I'm thinking about whatever. And you take that pot of water when you're done, and you can take it outside near a tree, and you kind of pour it out on the tree, and you give thanks to Mother Earth for, all the healing properties. And that's like a sacred ritual, and it's giving back to Mother Earth, and you're now being connected in different type of ways. But that's the first step of you being connected with yourself and taking that moment for yourself. And you bring that experience home, and then you don't have to worry about the curtain wipes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
You know what?
I know.
I want to add the oil that we have.
Oh yes.
Oh
Amazing.
my gosh, it is very, very amazing, and
Amazing.
a total game changer for me, at least. Like, not that I have an odor or had an odor there, but it smells like, makes you
Fresh
smell
all day.
throughout the entire day. And it's just like, I think too, that boosts your confidence automatically, And I've used it like during masturbation, and it's like amazing. I mean, I've used other like lubricants before, but for some reason it's a totally different experience. And yeah, I recommend the oil.
Thank you.
Now the oils have herbs inside of them, and so I noticed that when you put your little dropper, some of the herbs come out. That's okay, right? Because I've been rubbing that all over.
Yes, that's okay. So all my products are organic. So everything is organic. It's natural. You're not going to get any chemicals from it. And then using it in masturbation is something else, because a lot of some of the ingredients has that blood flow. It increases the blood
Is
flow to
that
that
what it
area
is?
as well.
I'm like,
She's like, it's
so
that. So now you tell me.
Right. So it has a wow effect.
yeah.
Okay, so you're not supposed to, like, before you put it on, you don't need to take out the little seedlets or like the herbs, right? You just use it all down there. But it's weird because they kind of evaporate into your skin. Like
Disappear?
later on in the day, I don't feel the little, fragments of the herbs. Is that
Yeah.
is it
So-
getting hidden somewhere else?
I would shake your bottle before use, of course, but just pull your dropper from the top to get the oil out. But everything in there, no, you're not going to get anything bad.
Okay. No, yeah, I love that oil. And
Yeah, that
and
was amazing.
yeah, even on your hardest workout afterwards, you're still smelling like a herbal essence down there. And it's not fruity. It's like a natural like a natural smell, like
Did
just a
you
nice.
say your husband like said it was like the oil you put on like bread or something?
Oh my God, he saw it. Yeah, he saw it and he smelled it. He's like, this smells like those oils that you dip your bread into at like the Italian restaurant.
You could dip your bread in it, all right.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Because one of the ingredients is actually, he's probably smelling the rosemary or the oregano. Because those
Yes,
two are in there
the
too.
oregano. Yeah.
And so that's probably what's catching his nose.
Yes, then you could dip your bread.
Yep.
So, is there such thing as steaming too often? Like, are you not supposed to steam every day?
Yeah, so I would not recommend steaming every day, only because you don't want to create so much moisture there that it now grows some type of infection or bleeding.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and do your steam. You can do it 2 times a week. I wouldn't recommend any more than that though.
Okay.
And give your lady part some time to rest.
Okay.
You know what? The place we went to had us do it for an hour, and you had said 30 minutes was what you recommended, right?
I would recommend
Yeah,
30 minutes. Yeah.
I think we were 50 minutes. 50.
I mean, again, everything is about intuition. And when you're going to a place like that, they want to make sure that they give you the experience because you're paying for it. And so that may be why they do for 50 minutes. But generally, I would recommend 30 minutes. But any longer than that, it's not going to hurt you.
It just felt nice. It felt like you're in a jacuzzi, even though
Yeah.
it's just your lady parts, and
Right.
you're just, yeah, it was great. So,
and the other part of that, though, you have to be relaxed. So that's another thing. When you're in that foreign environment, you may need that extra time so that you're able to relax and enjoy that experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember when we first started, I was like, I feel like I need a pee, but I just peed. And then I remember I told you I had like a sensation to like shit. But
I didn't hear that part. I missed that one.
I don't know if that's how relaxed I got the sensation, but I don't know. I don't know.
And we're all like spread eagle, just talking to each other with like a cloth.
Little cloth.
You said we were like sumo wrestlers, Janelle.
Yeah, we look like a bunch of sumo wrestlers with our legs spread eagle. Okay, so how do you recommend for us to teach our daughters about their yonis?
So, and I have 3 girls, so this is really how I teach my kids too. The first thing that you really want to make sure that they know is that their yoni, their vagina, is nothing to be ashamed of. It is, a beautiful part of who they are as a woman. A lot of times, in society, porn, it makes you feel like your vagina is supposed to look a certain type of way, or it's supposed to be a certain type of way, and now people are getting plastic surgery on their vagina. So the first thing that we need to implement in our girls is self-love, no matter what. If you were going to move into, and I do have some clients who have bought yoni eggs for their kids, for their daughters, but it was really just to meditate with. It's to get connected to that divine energy, because remember I was saying that the fact that it's shaped like an egg, it's a symbolism, it's sacred. It's, women, they produce eggs, it's your womb, connect to that. But the best thing that you can teach them is self-love. Teach them that there's no embarrassment. I mean, and this is going to sound weird, but eventually you're going to have to tell your girls that masturbation, you know, self-pleasing, things like that, that's nothing for a woman to be ashamed of. It's so normalized for men, but for women, it's very hush-hush. They don't talk about it a lot.
True.
But learning yourself, loving yourself is how you teach others to love you. And it also will help them to realize how sacred their yoni is, how sacred that divine energy is. You don't just let anybody into that. But they don't learn that if you don't first teach them why it's important, how it's important.
And your friends who were buying it for their daughters, is this like their teen years or like
Yeah,
even
teenagers.
younger? Okay, okay. Because I'm
She
like,
was
I'm
no,
picturing
she
my
was
3-year-old,
16.
and I'm like, I couldn't.
Heck no.
Your husband was
No.
real.
So her daughter's 16 and she's a virgin. She uses tampons, but the purpose of her buying the yoni egg wasn't necessarily for her to start inserting it. It was to really meditate with it, focus on the so I also I provided her some self-reflection questions, some divine feminine self-reflection questions. And it's something along the lines of, who taught you what it was to be a woman? You know, who taught you what femininity meant? What does it mean to you? You know, my husband laughs at me because I'm like, I need you to treat me pink and girly, you know? And he's like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, you know, soft. I have a hard personality, but be soft with me. So it's helping them tap into that feminine energy. We are always taught in society, you know, we're hard as women. We have a lot of masculine energy, and that's because when you're growing up, you hear, "Oh, don't cry. There's nothing to cry about." What, are you about to cry? And I want to be like, sometimes, bitch, yes, I am. You know, like, that hurt my feelings.
Can
But
I
we're
just
taught
release
to hold
this?
it in. Yeah, but we're taught to hold it in. And as a woman, when you hold all that emotions in, you push it down. You literally push it into your womb, push it into that sacral area. And so, you know, working with the yoni, even if it's not inserting it at the moment, it is working with that force energy that we have put in our womb to release it. So her daughter is not inserting it, but she is working with it for that reason, for releasing that stuff, for getting to know herself. And when she's ready, she can use it. You can use it without having sexual intercourse.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to our listeners who are struggling with their yonis right now, as far as like tightness or the smell or the look? Do you have any?
I would say the first thing to do would really, again, I'm going to sound repetitive. I would start on some kind of self-love journey, because all that comes from us not loving ourselves enough. We feel like we're not tight because we're focused on a man thinking we may not be tight, you know, or how they may perceive our lady parts look. And so we're trained to believe that things are not normal when they are. But when you love yourself wholly, completely, with no doubt, then you love every part of yourself. And so my recommendation would really be to start learning how to love yourself. Start being mindful for your needs.
That's so good.
I like it.
Love it.
Awesome. Oh, is there anything that you would like to add or share with us before we wrap things up that we missed, or that you just want to go over in general, whether it be yoni or crystal, herbs, anything else you want to let our listeners know?
I think the last thing that I would want to say, just as women, we should really learn to get into taking care of our yonis. It's a very, very important part of who you are and learning who you are. And I'm in my 30s, and you don't want to be like 40s, 50s, having a midlife crisis because you don't know who you are now. It's time to kind of release that energy that we have pent up and to start to heal. We hold trauma, you know, like I was saying, in our womb, and we need to release that so that we can be the best version of ourselves and have great orgasms and all that good stuff.
And I just want to add real quick. So I also read up that the yoni egg can help with reduce menstrual cramps, correct?
Yes. So that goes back to, if if you really work with crystals and learn about the different crystals, it goes back to the healing properties of crystals. So yellow jasper, for instance, if you put that on a certain body part, then it's known to alleviate pain. So is jade. So these are yoni eggs that will use these physical healing properties from the inside out. So that's why it helps to alleviate some of those cramps.
Do you have this on your website, like what each crystal means for the yoni eggs, so that people know?
So I do for some of them, mostly for the ones that are really known. There are some where I didn't put descriptives on, only because I'm big on using your intuition to pick crystals, and that goes for your yoni as well. And so like you, for instance, with the obsidian, your body not taking it, it's probably because that's not where you're at, you know. Obsidian has a lot of fire energy, and maybe you already have enough fire energy, or maybe you're secure in who you are, and that's not what you need to work on. And so I feel like if you go and you read about it, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what I want, that's what I need, that's really your conscious ego saying that. It's not your intuition. But if you look at it and you're drawn to it, then that's what you need, really.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had that boost of energy since then, since that initial one. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's pretty
But
cool.
you know what? I have like 10 different ones that I work with, and I shit you not, I lay them out on the bed and I decide which one calls me, and that's how I pick it.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Okay, Sarah, can you tell our listeners how can they find you and your products?
Absolutely. So my products, you can find those on my website at www.holisticallyattuned.com. You can find me on Instagram, holistically_attuned. Those are my major platforms.
Okay, and we'll also make sure that we link it for our listeners too.
And YouTube.
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube sister. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll link everything. But we want to thank you so much for coming on here and giving us some good information about our yonis and how to get in tune. It was very informative, so we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure, ladies.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you want to catch up on our previous episodes, visit mamasmimosas.com, where you'll get access to all of our podcast show notes, our YouTube videos, and our private Facebook group, where we chat with you about each episode topic and host live Q&As with our fave mom tribe. Can't wait to see you there.